begin the day with the 3 refuges and then the precepts. So we start with the 3 refuges because during this retreat we are seeking the sort of protective, supporting power of the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And so we want to take refuge in them. So if any problems arise in our minds, we always just remind ourselves that we are depending upon the spiritual power of the 3 jewels to help us get through the difficulties that we encounter. Yoren ting bu dong ying wan. Neo, somebody doing translation? Okay, so first we're going to give the 3 refuges, then we're going to give the precepts in 2 sets of precepts. First, everybody will begin by taking the 5 precepts, Wu Jie. But the emphasis in this retreat is for people to take the 8 precepts, the Bhagwan Jie. And so, unless you have some health problem, then, so that you have to take some food in the evening, then I encourage everybody to take the 8 precepts, whoever is able to take the 8 precepts. Okay, so the 5 precepts are going to be abstaining from the taking of life. So during this retreat, we don't take the life of any living being, even ants or mosquitoes. If we see them, if they get onto us, you just brush the mosquito off or brush the ant off. Don't kill even the ant or mosquito. Not taking anything that doesn't belong to you. So you take only your own belongings. You don't take anything that's not given, especially not to steal any of the belongings of others. And now, usually when we give the 3rd precept, we say to abstain from sexual misconduct, which means adultery, seduction, those kinds of acts. But during the retreat, we observe brahmacharya, that is, abstaining from all sexual activity. So no kissing, no holding hands, no hugging, nothing like that. Everybody lives during the retreat just like a monastic. And then, of course, not speaking any falsehood. In fact, as mentioned last night, we emphasize keeping noble silence. That's extremely important, to speak only when there's some need to speak, when doing the tasks like cleaning up and so on. Otherwise, even during the lunch break, don't get into conversations, even with your friends, because the purpose of this retreat is to collect and to concentrate the mind. So we want to have yi xin bu luan, that is, a unified mind without distraction. And when you start talking to people, then you get handor shen, handor luan. You get a scattered mind with many distracted thoughts. And so to keep the mind calm and concentrated, collected, we avoid any unnecessary conversation. Not to speak about, especially not to speak any falsehood. Then the 5th precept is to avoid intoxicants. And so there won't be any intoxicants. There's no opportunity on this retreat. So those are the 5 precepts that everybody observes. Then after I give the 5 precepts, then I'm going to give the 8 precepts. So the first 5 of the 8 precepts will be identical with the first 5. The first 5 of the 8 precepts will be identical with the 5 precepts. including in the 5 precepts and the 8 precepts, we all observe brahmacharya. That is, we observe complete abstinence from sexual activity. But then we come to the 3 different precepts in the 8 precepts. So the 6th precept is to avoid what is called vikala bhojana. That means eating at the wrong time. And that means after midday, now on daylight savings time, that's 1 p.m., we don't take any substantial food. In the evening, there'll be a drink for those on the 8 precepts. So you have a drink like almond milk, soy milk. If you want any kind of tea, herbal tea, coffee, soft drink, all of that is okay. But we don't take any chewable food in the evening, like rice and vegetable dishes, noodles, nothing like that in the evening. And sometimes you think, oh, if I don't get an evening meal, I'm going to starve, I'll be so hungry. But that is largely just deluded thoughts in the mind, because you can get along very, very well. We monastics, we do it for years, not taking an evening meal. So just at lunchtime you eat sufficient food, and then in the evening you just take a drink, and you'll be okay. You're not going to starve to death after 2 or 3 days not eating in the evening. And it helps your practice because it keeps the mind clear in the afternoon, and in the evening the mind becomes clear and calm, not excited by taking food in the evening. Okay, so that is the 6th precept. Then the 7th precept, it's a bit complicated. I just have to make sure. Okay, so the 7th precept is abstaining from dancing. There won't be any opportunity to dance here. Singing worldly songs. Vadita, playing instrumental music. Only the Dhamma instruments will be played. And seeing any shows or any kind of other entertainment. Okay, then there's no wearing of personal ornamentation. That means no wearing garlands, using perfumes, putting on ointments to make one appear beautiful. And so no ornamentation. And then the 8th precept is to abstain from using high and luxurious beds. So everybody in the dormitories, you have just a very simple bed for sleeping. So of the 8 precepts, the only one that really gives trouble to some people, it might be difficult because of health reasons, is to abstain from eating beyond the proper time, that is, from eating in the evening. Okay, so let us now I will give the 3 refuges. I will use both Pali. Pali is the ancient Indian language that is used for the Buddhist texts, and then in English. And everybody should have the printed printouts with the refuges and precepts. Okay, so I'll recite first each phrase by phrase, then you repeat after me. Except first, you're going to ask for the 5 precepts, and after that, we'll do it for the 8 precepts. So, Okasa ahang bante, Ti saranena sadding, Panchasilang Dhammang Yachami Anugahang Katva Silang Data Me Bante. Okay, so you've said, okay, Venerable Sir, for taking the 5 precepts together with the 3 refuges. Venerable Sir, having assisted me, please grant me the precepts. Okay, then we do it a second time. Dutiyampi Okasa Ahang Bante Ti Saranena Sadding Pancha Silang Dhammang
Panchasilang Dhammang
Yachami Anugahang Katva
Anugahang Katva
Silang Datame Bante.
Silagantame Bante.
So this is a second time, Venerable Sir, for taking the 8 precepts together with the 3 refuges. Venerable Sir, having assisted me, please grant me the precepts. So that's the meaning. Then we do it now the 3rd time in Pali. Tatiyampi okasahang bante.
Tatiyampi ahang bante.
Ti saranena sadding.
Tisarena sadding.
Panchasilang dhammang yachami.
Panchasilang dhammang yachami.
Anugahang katva.
Anugaham Katva
Silang data me bante.
Silang data me bante.
Oh, so this is a 3rd time saying, Venerable Sir, for taking the 5 precepts together with the 3 refuges. Venerable Sir, having assisted me, please grant me the precepts. Okay, so now we go into first the paying respects to the Buddha. Okay, so I'll recite in Pali, again, phrase by phrase, and you repeat after me. Namo tassa
Namo tassa
bhagavato
Bhagavato
arahato
Arahato
samma sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa
Namo tassa
bhagavato
Bhagavato
arahato
Arahato
samma sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato
Namo tassa Bhagavato
arahato
Arahato
samma sambuddhassa.
Samma Sambuddhassa.
So this means homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One or Exalted One, the fully enlightened one. Okay, now we're going to do the 3 refuges. We'll do it both in Pali and in English. Okay, phrase by phrase. Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
To the Buddha I go for refuge. Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
To the Dharma I go for refuge. Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
To the Sangha I go for refuge. Okay, now we do it the 2nd time. So, Dutiyampi
Dutiyampi
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
So for the 2nd time, to the Buddha I go for refuge. Dutiyampi
Dutiyampi
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
For the 2nd time, To the Dharma I go for refuge. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
For the second time, to the Sangha I go for refuge. Okay, now with the third time. Tadiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
For the third time, to the Buddha I go for refuge. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
For the third time, to the Dhamma. Okay, for the third time. To the Dhamma I go for refuge. Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
For the third time, to the Sangha I go for refuge. Okay, now I say, Ti Sarana Gamanang Nititang. Oh, I'm sorry. I just say that. You just say Amabante. Okay, so this means that the going for refuge to the three refuges is completed. Okay, now we're going to do the 5 precepts, which will be the same as the first 5 precepts. Here. And then, for those who want to do the 8 precepts, I'm going to go back and then start from precept 1 and go through to precept 8. So first we do the 5 precepts. These will be, for this retreat, they're called the 5 brahmacharya precepts, since we take brahmacharya or chastity as the 3rd precept. Okay. Panati pata veramani.
Panati pata veramani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from killing living beings. Adina dana veramani.
Adina dana veramani.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. A brahmacharya veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from all sexual activity. Okay, number 4. Musavada veramani.
Musavada veramani.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from false speech. Okay. Sura Merya.
Sura Merya.
Majja. Pamadatana. Veramani. Sikapadang samadhiyami.
Sikapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from intoxicants. Okay, so now the 5 precepts are completed. So those who are observing the 5 precepts, only the 5 precepts, not going on to the other 3, they will keep silent when I recite the 8 precepts. And those who are undertaking the 8 precepts recite along with me. So we're going back to precept number 1. Panati pata veramani.
Panati pata veramani.
Sikhapadang.
Sikhapadang.
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from killing living beings. Adina dana veramani.
Adina dana veramani.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. A brahmacharya veramani.
A brahmacharya veramani.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from all sexual activity. Okay, number 4. Musavada veramani.
Musavada veramani.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from false speech. Okay, number 5. Sura Meriya.
Sura Meriya.
Majja.
Majja.
Pamadatana.
Pamadatana.
Veramani.
Veramani.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
Sikhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from intoxicants. Okay, now we go into the additional precepts. Vikala bhojana.
Vikala bhojana.
Veramani.
Veramani.
Sikhapadang.
Sikhapadang.
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from eating after noon. Nacha Gita Vadita.
Nacha Gita Vadita.
Visuka Dasana.
Visuka Dasana.
Mala Ganda.
Mala Ganda.
Vilepana Dharana.
Vilepana Dharana.
Mandana.
Mandana.
Vibhusana Tana.
Vibhusana Tana.
Veramani.
Veramani.
Sikhapadang.
Sikhapadang.
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from dancing, singing, music, and entertainments, from wearing garlands, perfumes, cosmetics, and jewelry. And Ucha Sayana,
Ucha Sayana.
Mahasayana,
Mahasayana.
Veramani,
Veramani.
Sikhapadang,
Sikhapadang.
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from using high or luxurious beds and seats. Okay, so now we don't take the next part where there's the word or, then we take what comes after that. Imani atta sikhapadani
Sikhapadani.
samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
This is recited 3 times. Imani atta
Imani atta
Sikkhapadani
Sikkhapadani
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
Imani atta
Imani atta
Sikkhapadani
Sikkhapadani
Samadhiyami.
Samadhiyami.
So that means I undertake the 8 precepts. Okay, now I say, this is what I say. You just at the end just say Amabante. So I say, Imani atta Sikkhapadani ajekang ratin divang uposata sila vasena tumhehi upasaka upasika bhutehi sadhukang akandang katva apamadena rakitabani.
Amante.
Yeah, so this means having well observed these 8 precepts today for a day and night, but on this occasion it will be until Monday through Monday midday, together with the virtues of the Uposita by you, the Upasika, that's the male lay devotee, and the Upasika, the female lay devotee. May you keep them well with diligence. And then you just say, Amabante. So that means just, yes, Venerable Sir. Okay, now I'm going to say a few words about the Pure Land practice. And this is really intended not so much for the old-timers, the veterans who have come for many Pure Land retreats, but for those who are coming like the first time to a Pure Land retreat. Who, just out of curiosity, who here is coming for the first time to a Pure Land retreat? You could just put the hands up. Okay, so this is the practice, we call this the Pure Land practice or Amitabha practice, which probably developed in India as part of the practice of the Mahayana Buddhism. And then when Buddhism came to China, the Pure Land practice was transmitted to China, and then it became the basis for a distinct school of Chinese Buddhism, which is called the Pure Land School, the Jingtu Zong. And even though in China and Taiwan, the separation of schools or the boundaries between different schools has dissolved, and all schools now of Chinese Buddhism have very much merged together, but the Pure Land practice remains a very, very strong practice in Chinese Buddhism, both in China and Taiwan, also in Japan and Korea. So it's probably amongst the Chinese Buddhists, it's the most popular mode of practice. The Pure Land practice is based mainly on 2 sutras which were originally preserved in India in Sanskrit and then were transmitted to China and then translated into Chinese. One of them, which we recited this morning, it's probably the most popular of the Pure Land Sutra. It's the short Amitabha Sutra. And the key phrase in this sutra, sort of the basis for the Pure Land practice, is the line which says that I'm reciting this, speaking this in English, if there is a good man or good woman who hears of Amitabha and then holds the name, the Chinese is Zhe Che Ming Hao. So one hears, it's actually Ming Hao. One holds the name in mind, whether for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, up to 7 days, with a unified mind, unscattered, that's yi xin bu luan. So we have to unify the mind without distractions, without scattered thoughts, holding the name of Amitabha for this time. We're going to be doing it for 3 days, 3.5 days. So then the sutra says that when this person comes to the end of their life, then Amitabha Buddha, together with the assembly of holy ones, including Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Shuja Bodhisattva, and many, many other bodhisattvas, will appear before that person. And at the very end, if this person's name is without any distortions of thought, that is Shin Bu Tian Tao, so that the mind has to be clear, straightforward, without any distorted thoughts, then that person will be reborn in the blissful Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha. And so to be reborn there, one makes the vow or has the aspiration to be reborn in the Pure Land of Amitabha. And so the ideal is to hold the name by recitation, but not only reciting with the mouth, but what's most important is to hold the name, the thought of Amitabha, to hold it firmly, steadily with the mind. So that is the first source for the Pure Land practice, the shorter Amitabha Sutra. The other source is the larger Amitabha Sutra. This sutra explains the background to Amitabha Buddha, how many, many aeons ago, under the time of a previous Buddha, he was a bodhisattva who became a monk by the name in Sanskrit Dharmakara. I think in Chinese would be Fa Tsang Bhikshu. And he made the determination to follow the path of a bodhisattva and to become a Buddha in the future. And when he made that vow to become a Buddha in the future, he made 48 vows as the condition for his attainment of Buddhahood. So he said, I won't become a Buddha until these 48 vows are possible. And of these 48 vows, the one that's regarded as the most important in terms of Pure Land practice is vow number 18. And this is the vow that if any person or sentient being sincerely and joyfully entrusts themselves to me, becomes devoted to me, and desires to be reborn into my land, and recites my name even 10 times with sincere, joyful, focused mind, then they will be reborn in my Pure Land. That is, any sentient being except those who have committed the 5 terrible deeds, or those who have slandered the true Dharma. So those are the sources for the Pure Land practice. And as for the practice itself, I can see 2 ways in which it can be practiced. So one, we call it the traditional way, and the other we call it the adaptive way, or the practice of Pure Land as a skillful means. So the traditional way is based firmly on these sutras. So in this way of practice, one places sincere faith and trust in the Pure Land Sutras, and one forms, based on one's faith, one's confidence, one's trust, one forms a strong determination, a strong wish to be reborn in the Pure Land of Amitabha. Sometimes it's called the Western Paradise, because it's supposed to be located far, far in the west from our world system. So one forms that strong vow, that strong wish, that strong determination to be reborn in the land of Amitabha Buddha, the Sukhavati, the land of ultimate bliss. And then one recites the name and keeps the name in mind with that determination to be reborn there. In the trust, in the faith that at the end of one's life, when one enters into the death process, Amitabha Buddha, together with the assembly of holy bodhisattvas and arahat disciples, they will come to appear before you at the time of death and welcome you and bring you to the Pure Land, to rebirth in the Pure Land. And now it might seem, especially to Westerners, from the description of the Pure Land, that this seems like the Christian heaven, but really that is not the case. The Pure Land, though it's a much more beautiful, much more peaceful place, more joyful place than our world, but it's not a place where you just enjoy the pleasures and the delights of a heavenly world. But when you get reborn in the Pure Land, you have to work very hard. The Pure Land is somewhat a little bit like coming to the monastery for a Pure Land retreat. Like you leave behind the city or the town and your working life, household life, and you come to the monastery. Everything is taken care of, your meals, your room, and all you do is focus on cultivation, on practice. And so when you get reborn in the Pure Land, that is, the purpose is to meet with ideal conditions for cultivating practice, for cultivating, you already have your sila, your precepts in the Pure Land. You could observe them perfectly. And so in the Pure Land, you have to practice samadhi and develop your prajna, your wisdom. So you're practicing the paramitas or the bodhisattva way in the Pure Land in order to advance along the bodhisattva path and achieve Buddhahood yourself. So that is the wish, the aspiration, and the purpose of Pure Land practice. Not just to enjoy the delights of a heaven, but to have good conditions for cultivating the practice. So that is a traditional way of understanding Pure Land practice. Then there's another way for those who are not convinced about the existence of the Pure Land or the reality of Amitabha Buddha, the objective reality of Amitabha Buddha. And so we can use the Pure Land practice, I say, as a skillful means for cultivating and purifying our mind. Because when we focus the mind on Amitabha Buddha, we can take Amitabha Buddha to be a kind of ideal image of the qualities of all of the Buddhas. So all the Buddhas have the same excellent qualities, countless excellent qualities. And all of those qualities, we could say, can be simplified to three main qualities. We have the perfect purity, that every Buddha, their mind is completely purified of all the defilements, all the fanau, and all even the subtle traces, shichi, the subtle traces of defilements. So the mind is radiant, bright, and pure. So we focus on Amitabha as the perfectly purified one. Then the second quality of all the Buddhas is that all the Buddhas have perfect wisdom. They've understood the ultimate truth, and their minds understand the nature of all phenomena, all dharmas, all Buddhas have completely awakened to, completely become enlightened to the nature of all dharmas. And so we see Amitabha as representing the perfect wisdom of all the Buddhas. Then the third quality for Pure Land practice is the most important, and that is the Amitabha Buddha and all the Buddhas have great compassion. We say, da, ze, da, bei. Great love and great compassion. And so when we do the recitation of the name of Amitabha, we do it focusing on the great compassion of all the Buddhas, and we are entrusting ourselves, sort of surrendering ourselves to the great compassion of the Buddhas, and allowing the great compassion of the Buddha to spread into our minds and to help to purify our own minds. So this, we say, is the skillful way of practicing, or skillful means way of practicing Pure Land. So you're practicing not so much because you want to be reborn in the Pure Land, but you do it as a way of purifying the mind now by entrusting yourself to Amitabha as the ideal form of all of the Buddhas, the one who's the embodiment, the expression of perfect purity, great wisdom, perfect wisdom, and boundless great compassion. And I want to say, especially for like the Westerners or newcomers to this practice, please don't get discouraged and think, oh, I'm in a Chinese cultural environment, it's so foreign, so strange, I'm doing a very strange practice. I tell you my own experience, because I come from a different tradition. I come from the Nanchuan, the Southern or Theravada tradition. So the first year I came to this monastery, 2007, at the end of the year, they always have the 7-day Amitabha retreat. I didn't join the first year. I was still somewhat skeptical. But then the second year, 2008, I thought, out of curiosity, let me try it. Might be interesting. And so I tried it, and what I found, even that first year, that this Pure Land practice, it builds up very slowly and gradually. But as you go on with this practice, just focusing on the name of Amitabha, reciting it, bringing the figure of Amitabha to the mind, one starts to experience this wonderful kind of upliftment, this wonderful radiance and purity, and it becomes very, very remarkable thing. And what I like about it, you see, when we do the regular practice, like the meditation practice, we're always thinking, I have to achieve something, I have to rely on my own strength, my own power. And sometimes we look at other people and we think, I have to compete with them. If they're sitting 45 minutes, I have to sit 60 minutes. If they're sitting 1 hour, I have to sit 1.5 hours. And so there's sometimes the idea that I have to attain this, I have to get these insights, these samadhis. So it's very much a matter of, sometimes it becomes a matter of competition and gaining something, attaining something. But with the Pure Land, we think that we're not relying on our own power, but we're relying on the spiritual power of Amitabha Buddha. And so it's like we surrender ourselves, our own ego, to Amitabha Buddha, and let the spiritual power of Amitabha Buddha lift us up and purify us. And so in this way, we develop a very humble attitude towards our practice, and we're not concerned to compete with others, to gain something, but we just open ourselves to the spiritual power that's coming from Amitabha or from all of the Buddhas, and this will help and benefit us. And so that's why I encourage the newcomers not to get discouraged, but continue to persist with the practice, and you'll see session after session, day as day follows day, you get this wonderful, uplifting feeling that comes from the Pure Land practice. Okay, so with this, I'll end my talk, and maybe we can start. Do we take like a little break, and then we start the first? Okay.